Hey, what's up, my Dragon Legion? How y'all been? So, Dragoons, today we're going to be doing a CardFight Vanguard deck profile of my current, finally completed Kaiser Vermillion Crimson deck profile. Now, this has been a deck profile that, as you Dragoons may have saw in my previous videos in the past, this has always been a deck profile that I've always been working hard and working towards, trying to finally complete. It's taken me some time, but here it is. I finally have the deck complete, all cards I needed and everything to finally complete the deck. Even Conquest Dragon himself. So here to you, Dragoons. I'm here to present to you a complete build of this deck right here. I have not yet got a chance to test play this deck yet, so this is not yet the finalized build. I do plan on making some changes to the deck depending on how things work out. But nonetheless, this is how the deck is right now at the moment, and I'll explain to you, Dragoons, my choice of how the deck is. You Dragoons have seen my profile of this deck back before the deck was not yet completed. I think a lot of you Dragoons will know what I'm playing or plan on playing and all that such. But nonetheless, for those who are interested, please stick around, and I'll show you Dragoons what I got going on and such. And with that being said, let's move on to the deck profile right now. Show you Dragoons. Alright, start off with starting Vanguard. Start off with Lizard Soldier Saishin. What's really nice about him is it's really nice to go back to some old school Vanguard, which is always pretty interesting. Something that I haven't really done in a long time, which is even though I normally appreciate that more than most other types of versions of card games. What he does is when he's boosting your Vanguard, counterblast 1, put him your Vanguard, and if the attack is a hit, when attack is a hit, you can counterblast 1, put him your Vanguard. When you do, retire 1 grade 0 or less Vanguard. Now, it's not the greatest ability you want out of a deck like this, but keep in mind, it is an era of Vanguard we are in right now. A lot of people are becoming a little bit more reliant on Forerunners, and we do want something that will allow us to take care of those annoying Forerunners as fast as we possibly can. And another thing that's really nice about this guy's ability is that when he does go off, and you put him in Soul, so that you are playing abilities that allow you to Soul Charge every now and then, you can potentially Legion back into him, back in your deck, and then if you were to, like, let's say, draw him, you could potentially drop him and just pretty much use his ability again if you want to do so, or use him as a nice 10,000 shield defender if something like that happens. So, Sheen's definitely pretty good, help you game around those annoying cards and such. And that's it for. And that's my Forerunner. Now for the trigger lineup. For triggers, we have, of course, your 4 heals. No explanation needed why the heals are important in this deck, in any Vanguard deck. And for rest triggers, if you Dragoons have seen my profiles in the past, I think a lot of you all will see this one coming. What I'm currently playing, 6 critical, and the 6 draw land. Help me be allowed to be balanced, being offensive defense, still be on the offensive, and allow me to be aggressive as much as possible, with as much damage as possible, while still be able to go on defensive and be able to draw into what I need to draw into the most. And once draw triggers go off with their jobs well enough, most likely I'll be using my Legion ability to get the critical triggers back in my deck more often than the draw triggers and such. Of course, along with the heals as well, of course. So yeah, that right there was the trigger lineup. Now for the grade 1s, we have 4 copies of the special perfect guards. You don't have to use her. If you want to use regular perfect guards, it will function just fine as such. I just like having her just because I like the ability to unflip damage. Now, the deck is not really as heavy counterblast as Kaiser Vermillion used to be ever since the new support has been getting as of late, but just the ability where you can unflip the damage just in case something happens where you do end up paying counterblast for Kaiser Vermillion. It's always very nice, appreciative, and just allows you to just have the ability to just be able to go off with more counterblasting when you need more counterblasting. And then 4 copies of your Stride Enablers, because Stride Enablers is always nice. And then 3 copies of Eradicator, Egghelm, and Dragokid, or as I like to nickname him, Eggy. Just the ability where you can use your Limit Break 4 ability without having to wait till your damage is at 4 or more can definitely be very helpful, especially when you're playing a Legion based deck and your opponent is being way too overcautious, allowing you to avoiding attacking you just because they think that if you're playing a Limit Break based deck, by avoiding attacking your Vanguard, they'll deplete your chances of doing your stuff, which they'll be way off about. Thanks to Eggy's skill, you'll be allowed to use your Kaiser Vermillion and your Kaiser Crimson's Limit Break abilities without having to wait till your damage is 4 or more. So this is definitely very helpful, and plus it's a 7k booster, so that right there is always helpful as well when things happen. Alright, Stop! And then to end the grade 1 lineup, 3 copies of Rising Phoenix, Soul Blast 2, draw a card whenever it's called Redraft Circle. Not only helps with Legion abilities, so you can have more cards, more option cards to Legion back into your deck when you need a Legion, but also just the ability where you can draw a card after you do such could definitely be very helpful, allow you to get to where you need to do the most. And that's it for the grade 1s. For the grade 2s, 4 copies of Dusty Plasma Dragon. He's your 12k attacker as long as your Vanguard is currently Kaiser Vermillion. So, even though you are playing Kaiser Crimson, one quick rule I want to mention, I think a lot of people already do know about this, but for those who do not know about the rule about this and such, is that if your Vanguard is currently Crimson, he will not get his 12k boost or as such, but if you're in Legion, you do have these new guys going on, he will get a 12k boost. However, if you were to ever stride while your guy is currently Legion, you want to pick Kaiser Crimson to be the Kaiser Vermillion, to be in the soul and to be in the heart instead of this guy, because if your Vanguard is currently him, he will not get a 12k boost. So that's a lot of things you gotta watch out for when you want to play combos and strategies and such. So, but nonetheless, you can still be able to go off with your Dusty Plasma skill to get the 12k boost, and just be able to allow you to set yourself up to have some really powerful rear guards. And next up, we have 4 copies of Voltage Horn Dragon. Really nice addition to Kaiser. GB1, while he's attacking your Vanguard, while he's being boosted by Narukami Rearguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, which is combat plus 1, if you do, your opponent retires one of his or her own rear guards. Your opponent retires one of his or her choice, and bind that, and then it gets binded. So, if you're up against something that happens to be Legion based as well, this can also hurt some Legion based decks as well, because just the fact that these cards can be binded, meaning that they will never get them back when you want to go to Legion, can definitely be a very good, useful effect. Can allow you to get over a lot of difficult situations, and now and then put your opponents back to the wall to the point where they could not be able to bounce back that often. And last but not least, to finish all the grade 2s, 3 copies of Demonic Dragon Berserker, Chatura. Just a really nice new addition to Narukami. His rearguard ability is, when he's rearguard, he's not allowed to attack any rearguard, so he has to attack the Vanguard. And while he's attacking the Vanguard, he gets the ability of, when he's attacking the Vanguard, he gets 3,000 build power, and the ability of Counterblast 1 when his unit attack is a hit. You may pay the cost. If you do, draw a card, and you choose one card in your opponent's drop zone and bind it. So not only is it another card to pick off more Legion-based decks if your opponent happens to be playing some Legion-based, but also just a nice ability to potentially draw a card. It's always very nice, and a lot of times when your opponent does not want you to get a draw, they'll actually let the attack go through just so they will not let you get a draw, or if they're a Legion player, just so they don't have to go through the possibility of losing a good card in particular that they do not want to get binded. And that's it for the grade 2s. For the grade 3s, we have 4 copies of Kaiser Vermillion. And a lot of people's other Crimson builds, I've noticed that a lot of people are often playing 2 Crimsons instead of 4, like I'm currently doing right here. Which I do understand, but in my honest opinion, in a deck like this, I would normally prefer play the max of Crimson Vermillions, because you want to have as much possibilities to go to your Legion as much as possible. And if you do end up riding this guy instead of your Crimson, it's not really a big deal, because 1, we're in an era of Vanguard where we are going to be striding a lot, so him being your Vanguard at the moment is not really going to be much of a big deal, especially of the whole Dusty Plasma thing I was mentioning earlier. And also, while the ability is not always the necessary greatest, it is always there when you case need it. I mean, just the ability where you can attack your entire front row is still very handy. Granted, it does stink that you have to counterblast 3 cards in order to use the ability if you're not going Crimson and such. But it can be really worth it depending on what front row rear guard your opponent currently has, and depending on what you need to get rid of if things get a little over drastic. And then to finish off the grade 3s, 4 copies of Dragonik Kaiser Crimson. Legion 2200. His mate is Kaiser Vermillion. Limit Break 4. If you're Limit Break 4, you can use the ability of his mate for free without counterblasting anything. And his third ability is Soul Blast 1. If you have another unit in the middle of your column, this unit gets plus 2,000 power. Nothing really too big. The final ability isn't really that useful. It is nice for Soul Blasting in case you need more cards to pick off for Legion and such when you want to do another Legion. But mostly you want to use this guy's ability to either do your Legion when you go to Kaiser Vermillion, so you can get 22 plus K Vanguard, swinging your opponent's Vanguard as well, or your opponent's front row as well, while also having the ability to use Kaiser Vermillion's Limit Break ability without having to counterblast the cards at all. Now, obviously, if you were to make this deck a comparison with Brawler's Big Bang Knuckle Dragon, as much as I hate to admit it, Big Knuckle build definitely has the upper edge of this deck. But this deck is still fun to have. Compared to that deck right here, at least with that deck, you can use the ability to attack a front row without counterblasting anything, whereas a a Big Bang Knuckle build, you will have to counterblast and pay some nifty cards just to even do some things in particular, whereas Kaiser Crimson here, all you have to do is make sure he's in Legion, and you will have the ability to attack the whole entire front row without having to pay nothing. So yeah, while also having the cards reserved for counterblasting for your other cards in particular that you want to use, like we were mentioning earlier, your Chatura, your Voltage Horn, and if something happens where it resorts to this, even your Forerunner as well, so you can do some nice builds and such, and also depending on what you use for your Stride deck as well. And speaking of Strides, now for the Stride deck. For Stride deck, we play 2 copies of Divine Dragon, Knight Saurus, just a generic good Stride card for most Narukami decks, kind of like your other Divine Dragon Knight for Kagero. And finally, I worked so hard to get this guy. I'm so happy that I finally got him. 4 copies of Conquest Dragon. Really nice addition to Narukami. I'm so glad I got this. His ability is Persona Blast 1. When you pay the cost, as long as your G-Zone is 2 or more, he gets the ability of popping off one opponent's front row rear guards, and your whole entire front row gained, if I'm not mistaken, 5,000 power. Yep, 5,000 power for each open rear guard circle in your opponent's front row. So what's really nice is if you do some right combos in particular, you could be swinging at your opponent's Vanguard for so many huge amount of power and so much huge devastation on your opponent every now and then, while also having that really nice backup ability to potentially make your opponent neg 1 as well, while also still swinging with this guy and your 2 front row guys with so much huge power and so much huge devastation all at your opponent, where your opponent will be forced to either take the attacks or waste some good cards and some good resources just to block off your attacks. And then everything else for a Stride deck, nothing really too special. All I really have for the extra deck is just an Elemental and a Miracle Elemental. That's all I really got for the extra deck. If there was more cards I could use for this deck right here, I would probably take these cards out and use those cards instead. But for right now, at the moment, this is how it is, and that's all I can really deal with. And yeah, the Dragoons. That right there was my Kaiser. Was my Dragonic Kaiser Crimson, Dragonic Vermillion Crimson Narukami deck profile. I hope you Dragoons enjoy this deck profile. It has taken me some time to finally put this deck together, and I'm so happy that I finally did. As you Dragoons know, it has taken me quite some time for me to do so, and I'm very happy that I can finally put together a deck where I can utilize my favorite Narukami in a more competitive build than I've ever been before in the past. I do know this build definitely will have some more potential than it's ever been in the past. There will probably be some changes I will do with this deck in the near future. I just don't know what changes I will be doing yet, but I will let you Dragoons know in the near future. And with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below. And I will see Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video to other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Ninja Alliance. And I will see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.